Welcome to episode 4 of the Change Impact Roundtable. We're in Washington, D.C. to speak with our panelists about their personal stuttering experiences from the perspectives of Black women. I'm your host, Chris Martin. Let's meet our panelists. Annabelle Augustine, a graduate from FIU who works as a youth case manager and is passionate about spreading awareness about stuttering. Cody Lamb, a graduate of the University of South Florida. Cody works in marketing and is the founder of Melanin Stutter Queens. Karina Saychow, who is an ASHA certified speech language pathologist and is currently enrolled in the doctoral program at the University of Kansas, and is president and CEO of Golden Oak Speech Therapy. Sabrina Washington Irvin, who is originally from Texas, graduating from Stephen F. Austin State University and aspires to be a speech language pathologist in the near future. Cheryl Wright, originally from Montreal, Canada, but now resides in Maryland with her husband and 2 daughters. Cheryl is president and CEO of Big Drum Consulting. Ladies, I want to thank you for being here. Founder of Change Impact, Michael Kidd Gilchrist, he chose you guys because you are, an accomplished group of Black women, and you guys share a similar story and paths that we want to discuss today.
Throughout the conversation today, we will hear stutter-like disfluencies from you all. But I'd like to start the conversation by asking you to tell us about your journey with stuttering through childhood.
My stutter is in the form of blocks. So there's certain words and sounds that are blocked. I've been stuttering since I've been small. I grew up in Canada to a Caribbean family. So it was very new to them. We weren't familiar with the resources that comes with therapy for stuttering. And so I'm a Black woman who stutters, and it took a while for me to accept that. So part of my journey is accepting that I am a Black woman that stutters and to be comfortable with that.
Well, I have been stuttering for as long as I can remember, probably since elementary school. It didn't really start to affect me until about, I would say, high school is when it really affected me. Mine is more blockages. So mine is more like specific words, my Ms, my Ds, my Res. Sometimes I feel like it's the whole alphabet. But my journey of stuttering has been very interesting. I've had a lot of anxiety attacks. I've had a couple suicidal in the past. Thank God it was not successful. But I feel like God just had a greater journey for me. That was the reason why I created this community of the support group that's known as Melanin Stutter Queens. And it was a professor that suggested for me to come up with this, to have the first African American and predominantly women of color support group, a safe space for women who they can communicate their struggles and they're able to express themselves probably in a way that they can't in society, and just have that sisterhood and connect and just create a legacy.
My stuttering, so it's more repetition, blockage, prolongations. What is different about my journey? So it's that. So I didn't really know that I stuttered. So until I came to the United States. So I was talking to one of my cousins, and then she asked me, "Why do you talk that way?" And then so I was like, "What way?" And she was like, "That way. So you speak slower and you don't speak normally." So then from that day on, so whenever I spoke, I would hear myself speak. So like from the time that I was like 10 years old, so until I was about maybe like 19 years old, so I didn't really speak. So I searched stuttering, and then so I found the National Stuttering Association, and then so I was able to get speech therapy for about 2 years, which gave me the techniques needed to just be able to move past my disfluencies. And then by seeing other people who stuttered, so I really started to believe that I could do something with my life.
So for me, I've been stuttering since I was about 6, and mine is in the form of a block and a pause. So all through childhood, I just, it was rough. Just, you know, the bullying and teachers, you know, they think that there is something, you know, wrong. No, I just can't really talk, but yeah. So.
I think that's good. You guys spoke about, you know, all experiencing your stutter actually starting at different times in your life. But what was it that helped you guys like navigate that initial process when you guys started to learn that you started to stutter?
I think for me was just changing my entire mindset, saying, okay, you're either gonna be a slave to your stutter or you're not. Really feeding my mind and my soul, not only in a religious way with scriptures and stuff, but the people I surrounded myself around, being around other strong-minded women and even men who want to see me succeed and see me win, and really like telling myself in the mirror, like, you got this, like, you know. And then one of my big sisters, she told me, you have like, you have a Felicia and you have a Karen, I think it is. So telling me that stuff to just remember, because a lot of times we can be our worst enemy.
Yes.
I knew I had to accept it when I had to stop like trying to kind of like fit it into stuff like, okay, I can't go here because it's people here. I can't say, you know, this, that. And I figured out life is too short. Life is too short. Just say it. Just say it and move on. If you block, cool. If you don't, cool. Just, you know, say it. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you all have talked about your journeys in the last response of being Black women who stutter. And I really love the really vulnerable moments. I really love the empowered moments of like, one day I just figured out that I need to show up as myself. I love that. But can you talk to us a little bit more about your experiences with stuttering specifically as a Black woman?
I have a chemical engineering degree and a master's in enterprise engineering. And so I was in a predominantly male, white field. And I was in Canada at the time. So in addition to that, I was a minority. So a minority as a Black woman who stutters in a male-dominated field, that's a little tough to get your voice heard and to speak to power. And with a stutter, it really has the power to change who you are, what you're supposed to be. So yeah, acceptance is key to not having your stutter change you.
And I totally agree with that. I just feel like as specifically a Black woman who stutters in today's society, there are just so many things that are being pulled and so many things where we're having to pour into. It can be very challenging. So that's why I just think it's so important to have a community. Because statistically, we're 1% in stutters in general, but then it deducts significantly when you have to come down to a minority community.
So I chose psychology because you could do many different fields with it. Because when I used to be in high school, people would pressure me to choose what I wanted to be, But what they didn't get was how was I supposed to have a stranger listen to me when my own parents and my own family would never let me talk? As a youth case manager, so I talk to people all day long. So I can go to a court meeting, I can go to a school meeting, and I can do so many different things, but sometimes, so it's still hard to be heard. But when you have a community around you, and you know that you are not alone, well then you have more courage and more confidence to keep going and to pay it forward.
For me, it's working. Like in the work, I would have to have a walkie, and it was horrible. Like I could not. It was just horrible. Like they would like say my name and everything, and I'd just be like, ooh. I'm gonna go hide, or something. Sometimes we cannot apply for like certain types of jobs, and sometimes education, going to school and teachers, like some of them, they just don't quite get it, and yeah, like it could be a very, very hard struggle. Yeah.
Can you think of like a specific instance where your stutter made you either very uncomfortable, or it was like a hurdle that you had to get over and that you came out on top of? Do you guys have any stories like that?
Right now.
Well, yeah.
Honestly and truly,
Yes.
yes.
Like right now, this is a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For so many years, so I've just kept people to a distance. So I would communicate with you, but you would know things personally or my feelings, because that would mean that I would have needed to speak longer than needed. Just being able to disclose to my family, so I was just able to free myself so of some trauma that they never knew about. So if we don't educate people about stuttering, how we stutter, and what we want them to know, well, then we will never be able to be heard.
Yeah, for the longest while, I always thought communication and fluency went hand in hand. And I just found out that communication and fluency is just one part of communication. I always thought I wasn't a good communicator because I had disfluency. So I would see like job advertisements, oh, you have to be a good communicator. I would scratch it out because I never thought I was a good communicator. But fluency is one small piece. There's a whole lot more to being able to communicate and share your thoughts. Sometimes all they have is fluency, and I used to be very jealous of those people that were fluent. But that's all they have. But I just realized that, yeah, I'm a good communicator. Sometimes I'm disfluent, but that doesn't mean I don't express and share my thoughts, and I'm not a good communicator. So I just found that out like a few months ago.
Also, having a stutter and intelligence. The two don't even, no. Because some people, think, oh, something is wrong. No, I just need time, right? So yeah, I learned that too, so.
So it's not because that I am nervous that I stutter. It's not because that I'm talking too fast that I stutter. It's just that I stutter. And whether I am the calmest that I've ever been, I may stutter. And it's just because this is the way that my brain works in telling someone to slow down and then to think about what you're trying to say. It doesn't help. You're not helping. You are regressing that person's progress. You don't know what it's like to stutter. You may have stumbles, but when you have stumbles every single day, no matter what you do in your whole daily life, from morning to night, then you would understand what we're dealing with, and that all we ask is for people to have patience, which should be pretty easy to do, but it's the most difficult thing for a lot of people, and we're the ones who stutter. So we have to have patience with ourselves and our speech 24/7.
And as Black women, really, we sometimes struggle to ask for help. Sometimes we struggle due to societal pressures, right? Many things, to be able to self-advocate. And I'm hearing a lot of themes of, I just learned in my adult life how to feel more empowered as a Black woman who stutters. But may you all provide us with some information, insight, guidance. What would you want to tell clinicians about how best to support Black women who stutter?
The first is acceptance. That has to be a part of the treatment, not just on the tips and tricks to hide the stutter or to be more fluent. And then, as Black women, we put ourselves last. We do everything else. We nurture everybody else, and we put ourselves last. For me, For me, I've been very ashamed of my stutter, so I didn't want to understand it. I'm an engineer, I'm a researcher, that's what I do. I research, and I didn't want to research this until it just became a little bit overbearing, and I had to. I had to. And that's when I said, okay, I have to figure this out. And so I went back to treatment, which helped me with acceptance, and then I'm here. But for the longest while, I didn't want to figure this out because it was too close to home, And I put everything else, I did everything else. And finally, I said, okay, I have to figure this out. And went back, and here I am, What? So, yeah.
What I would say to clinicians would be that when you have a black little girl who stutters, to speak to the family first. For me, so I didn't have speech therapy until I was like 18 years old. I was very shy and very lonely. You can teach kids to learn to accept themselves, but when you don't educate the parents, and the parents speak to the whole family to make it easier for the child, that comes with a lot of trauma, because kids can be cruel, but when you have parents who are willing to listen and are willing to educate more people, well then this child will have a much better upbringing because she will feel heard no matter what. What I would say to clinicians working with Black women who stutter would be to focus more about about the emotional trauma.
I have a question to ask us here. We always talk about the bad things that stuttering has done for us. And I'd like to ask you guys, what are some of the good things that has come out of being a Black woman who stutters?
For me, it's helped me have this type of superpower. You know, like I've really been able to identify this extraterrestrial superpower that I thought I'd never had. This courage, you know, that you kind of have to have. It's showed me to be rebellious in a good way, you know, to go against society, as in, we don't have to be like everybody else. We don't have to communicate like everybody else. We don't have to deliver the same way. Put your stiletto down, to put your foot down and say, I'm gonna make you wait. It might be for a little bit, but you're gonna hear what I have to say.
Yes,
So.
yes.
So some positive things that I have thought of with having a stutter, so it's that I am a better listener. So I'm more empathetic because so I can relate to people who struggle.
Some of the good things that have come from having a speech impediment is it's a fact that our cues are slightly higher, just for us to switch our words. Like if we can't say some type of word, we can switch it to another word. And also friendship. Yeah. I love y'all. All y'all. So yeah.
My stutter has made me more brave and courageous, you know. I have thick skin because, I've been in situations where I've had a stutter and, the room is quiet and I've been in those situations where it's been embarrassing and, all of it. So I have really thick skin. And also I think because of my stutter, I am a better communicator because I choose my words very carefully,
Has there been anybody in your life specifically that has, impacted you in a positive way, whether it be an SLP, family member, anybody that you can think of that has positively affected you in your journey?
My mom, she really, really, helped me just, accept me. Like, if I needed help ordering, I would kind of watch her and be like, hey, Mommy, help me order. She'd be like, no, order it.
Yeah.
Order it. So just that, just to have to work and actually talk to people. Because my mom, she did like the group homes for younger people. And so like I would have to go to her meetings and like that was just my way of practicing, actually talking to other people. So it was her. Deborah Washington. Hey, Mama.
That's dope.
So a person for me was my godmother. Sorry. She really gave me the courage to just be more open with my family. She was really my best friend because she was really the one who told me you can't lose, so when you speak up. But so I was able to be close to her and really be able to like form relationships with my other family members, and I was able to have a support system.
For me, I think it's my most recent speech language pathologist. For a long time, I didn't go to therapy, but when I did go back, it just opened my eyes to a lot of things.
I would say it's half and half for me. Half of my mother, and then with Anjali, with her. Oh, I'm about to cry to you. We're not doing this, but yeah. Just because I was suicidal this past June, and I was never going to do it, but just the pain of not being able to communicate how I wanted to with my parents, with my boyfriend, not participating in, not crying because I'm weak. I'm just expressing myself right now, but.
You know, this, having a stutter, it can get really bad, and it could kill you. Like it has that much power in it, you know? And so it's really important to get the help that you need, you know, to get through those hard times.
Again, your stories and your journeys have been incredible to listen to, incredible to hear. I just wanted to open the floor back up to you guys and see if there was any closing remarks, anything that you wanted to leave the audience with or touch on that you didn't get to speak on earlier.
Yeah, I just want to say it's okay to stutter. It's okay to have a stutter.
You can still do anything you want to do. You can still have a leadership position, executive position. You can still make your blueprint. You might have to work a little harder. You might have to maneuver a little differently. But remember, it's still possible. You can still be as successful as the next person, as the other person.
You can do whatever you want. Your voice matters. It deserves to be heard. Speak proudly and stutter freely.
Keep going, keep talking, and don't be so closed off. Like, you know, you have to open up, talk to people. Like, people are just people.
So I don't think you guys realize the profound impact that you have, not only on, you know, people who stutters lives, but people who don't as well. Like, just hearing you guys, your stories, what you go through, what you've been through, and how you're conquering that, what you guys are doing, how you're pressing forward, that's incredible. Like, it not only changes the lives of people who stutter, but it changes our lives too. And the fact that you guys are on here doing this, stepping out of your comfort zones on a daily basis, but this thing in particular, you know, what we're doing here, I commend you for it. It's amazing. You guys are helping me, you know, because this thing is about myself that, you know, I want to step out of my comfort zone a little bit. And you guys showing what you're doing here today has helped me and helped our audience. So I thank you guys for that, truly.
This has been an absolutely empowering and beautiful discussion. I really deeply appreciate all of you coming forth to talk to us about your journeys through life as Black women who stutter. And I think from a clinician standpoint, it is so beautiful and so powerful that you all shared all of the ways that speech therapy can focus on not focusing on becoming fluent, but instead the big themes that I heard were focusing on acceptance, focusing on providing emotional space for the people who show up into our clinic rooms, providing education to their classroom educators, to their families, to their communities, really making sure that we're making space for everybody to show up at school the ways that they want to be able to show up so that they can participate, they can be seen, they can feel heard. And I really just want to today take that time to remind all of the clinicians to be sure to do all of those things. And really, really just, again, I want to thank you all for, like my tears were flowing a little bit, I'm like in the back, but thank you all really for the time and the conversation that we got to have today.
That brings us to a close here on our journey on episode 4. For further information on our mission, you can visit our website at www.changeandimpactinc.org, or you can follow us on Change and Impact on Instagram, and be on the lookout for the next roundtable.
All right.